A YouTuber named Blamzuka is nervously waiting for an intense water park ride to begin. He knows something is wrong as soon as his friend deploys and he is still stuck in the tube. Soon it becomes apparent that getting out is not going to be easy, especially considering the door is sealed shut by a control panel that seems not to be working properly.
You okay in there?
If the ride starts with Blamzuka in this position, he could easily land wrong and cause some damage. He is forced to remain in the tube with his hands over his shoulders, almost like a casket, with cold water running down his back the whole time.
Keep your head back.
They eventually open the door and get him into the second tube. When this tube fails in the exact same way, they finally send him down the ride on a third tube. Judging from his scared reaction, I'm surprised he did not quit when the same thing happened a second time. Most people run away from monsters, but these two friends seem to be chasing one down. The creature looks to be very wide and is either covered in matted black fur or wearing huge black robes. I can't exactly tell which one. What I do notice are the impossibly large feet, and even though it's kind of hard to see, towards the end of this clip I can barely make out a gigantic white hand that is almost the size of its entire body. The creature's proportions make absolutely no sense, and when it turns around to defend itself against them, the front looks even more horrifying. Look again and you'll see the creature has a giant gray face that is twisted and warped beyond recognition. This still frame shows what I am talking about. Let me highlight the two eyes and open mouth so you can see it better. And of course, its oversized, gnarled hand is reaching out for them both. This video comes from a creepy YouTube channel ominously called I Know Where She Is, whatever that's supposed to mean. Anyway, whoever's filming seems to be at some old abandoned house that's covered in years worth of trash. A loud generator blocks out all sound. They turn around as if startled and shine their flashlight on the doorway, but they don't see anything. Neither did I the first time. Look again though, and you'll see the fleeing shadow of someone retreating from the doorway. Overall, it's hard to tell if this was a phantom figure or just the angle of the flashlight playing tricks across the wall. You shall not pass. YouTuber 32 Jeremiah Nongtrod 2K17 captured a witch guarding a remote dirt road in the darkness of night. The witch stands in the middle of the road, unmoving for more than a minute. Just when it seems like she will never leave, she finally hobbles off and vanishes into the darkness. The guys drive forward to look for her, but she's nowhere to be found. Where did she go? And what was she doing there in the first place? Although this video has no answers, it's obvious to me that whatever that was in the road, witch, ghost, or demon, it was not to be crossed. These guys were smart to keep their distance. A YouTuber named Outdoors with Eric patrols his property at night because he suspects a mysterious creature in the woods. It's a scary exploration and a creepy location for sure, but Eric wants to get as much evidence on camera as he can, so he keeps his fear in check and marches forward. At 1 minute and 43 seconds, he hears some really scary noises coming from the woods. I don't know what kind of creature would be up late at night screaming in the darkness. What does it sound like to you?
Yeah.
He walks for another minute until the scary noises give him pause again, much louder and closer this time.
Man, you guys hear that?
He feels watched and zooms in close with his night vision camera. You can barely make out the shape of a creature at first, so let me point it out for you.
That is bizarre.
When he plays with the setting, he gets a much better sighting on the creature, and soon discovers there are two of them across the stream.
They're coming closer. Yeah.
Two dots in the distance mark where he thinks they are. The screaming creatures of the night. No doubt they are real, and so are the scary noises. But the real question is, what are they? A kid is checking out his loose tooth in the mirror when his reflection appears to move away before he does. It happens in a split second, so you have to look closely to see it. Maybe it's just the angle, but the reflection really does appear to lean away while the child himself remains stationary. Everything from an optical illusion to a haunted mirror has been proposed with no concrete answer. So if you know the proper explanation, then be sure to let me know. While light can certainly play tricks on us, and on a camera, things can get creepy. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Garno7 explains that he and some friends were hanging around their campfire near a lake, and one of them captured this on his phone. The clip shows a figure appearing to run from their group of people into the roaring flames. Watch as the camera pans from left to right. Can you see it? While many in the comments say the figure is nothing but a lens flare. A couple Redditors counter that argument. Redditor Patrick RS Ghost writes, "At first I thought it was some flare or something due to the transition from dark to light very quickly, but when I looked closer I could see something start to move within the crowd at around the 2-second mark, almost to the left of the little girl in the pink sweater, right as the camera starts to pan, and upon looking again, I can totally see what this Redditor is talking about. So now I think there's a good chance this could be paranormal, because when you take the time, it seems to sync up." A YouTuber named SE Styles is camping in the woods of Hinton, Canada, when he hears the last thing that anyone wants to hear just outside of their tent. A lone wolf's howl pierces through their conversation and renders both SE Styles and his friend silent as night sets in. They soon realize they are vastly outnumbered. If anyone watching this happens to be an animal wildlife expert, I'd like to know if these wolves were howling because they were aware of the human presence nearby, or if this was for some other reason. Perhaps this was a warning to SE Styles not to come any closer. Although I'm sure he and his friend did not need any extra convincing. A man is cooking in his kitchen when a black mist appears behind him. Look for it on the left side of your screen. The man has his back turned and does not seem to notice what's going on behind him. What's especially strange is how the black mist starts to back away from the door when the man heads into the other room. Once the homeowner is safely out of view, the mist turns very dark and quickly darts in front of the doorway. No clear explanation has ever been provided, though I'd like to hear yours. Whatever the thing is, it's never been recorded again since. Is this the trail of a ghost? Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit, Jen the Heb explains, "My dad took a video of a helium balloon floating around the house to scare my kids, but captured something else. The video shows the helium balloon in question drifting in the corner of the room. As it floats there, suddenly a white, unidentifiable object flies forward and another swings past. According to Jen the Heb, her father didn't see the wisp until he watched the video back." Redditor Mr. Blistered Lips writes, "If not paranormal, I'd suggest a flash from reflected sunlight off of a car outside hitting the lens," but the Redditor counters that, according to her, the back deck looks over a conservation area where no cars pass. while some viewers still insist it's a reflection. Others think something is definitely moving in front of the camera. But is it paranormal? What is your wild guess? Personally, I'm going with the first option. A YouTuber named Lou Rock is live streaming from a supposedly haunted location, known only as the Yellow House. He and his friend are cautiously poking around the abandoned building when a faint noise sends them running directly into a large room to investigate. The room is bare except for an inordinate number of gnarled clothes hangers in the closet, which begin twisting in unison, almost as if in acknowledgement of their presence.
There's not a window open in here.
Are they moving? It looks like they're moving.
Wow.
This is on live stream, so you can see for yourself at no point did they touch the hangers. I think the hangers really are being moved by an unseen force based on what I'm about to show you next. As you can see from this video, there is no wind moving the blinds or curtains at all, so it couldn't have been a draft moving the hangers. They continue to find more weird miscellaneous objects scattered around the house, including a rope tied to a ripped kid's shoe.
It looks like somebody was hung up by their feet.
Giant holes have been punched into the wall of this room, either from destructive teens or from the previous house owner during an aggressive fit of rage. Just as they are sensing something deeply wrong with the kitchen, something brings them back into the room with blown out walls.
That feeling in here.
Yeah, me too.
What's that?
They are genuinely creeped out by now and don't make it much further before the sound returns again.
Weird. Alright, we're out of here.
At this point, Lou Rock wisely decides to leave before he becomes the Yellow House's next permanent resident. This home security video shows two bright orbs hovering over some bikes in Carolina Beecher's front yard. She watches in silent amazement as the lights remain fixed in place, close to where you would grab the handlebars. The only explanation I have besides spirits is perhaps a dual reflection of the car's brake lights. That still doesn't explain how they float all around though, while the car lights remain stationary. At times the lights even seem to join together and become one. It's early in the morning when somebody wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, and I mean that literally. The silhouette of a hand silently beckons beneath his brother's bed. The uploader of this video says the creepy shadow hand appeared one morning without warning and that it's real. I guess he was too afraid to go under the bed and find out what it was because the video ends then and there. Can't say I blame him. Hopefully somebody is holding their arm over the bed to create an illusion with their shadow of a hand reaching out, because otherwise this is just beyond creepy. Nothing is more terrifying than surveillance footage of an event, especially one that ends human life. This video footage shows 3 suspects involved in a double life-taking in South Ogden, Utah. Surveillance footage surrounding the scene of the event captured 2 suspects peering through the home's windows and later a masked man fleeing the scene. All 3 suspects were wearing hard plastic masks. According to several news articles documenting the event, police believe the incident was not random, but targeted, and that the suspects were familiar with both the people in their home. South Ogden Police Chief Darren Park noted that while reports of a loud party had been made to police, he asked any witnesses to come forward and said in a statement that he hoped the families of the people will gain some closure. Multiple surveillance cameras caught the suspects scoping out the home. One suspect was wearing a mask, while the 2 others wore opaque plastic masks as they approached. One camera showed a suspect crouched down, watching the home for a while, after which the second suspect and later the third joined in. A second camera caught them peering into the home's windows. Following the event, one of the men was seen on a third camera hopping over a fence. As of the latest update found online, dated March 2019 by ABC4, the double life-taking remains unsolved. More has been pieced together of the night's events, including the fact that 3 of the Van Komen brothers lived in the home, while the unfortunate older neighbor, Kevin Nelson, had just dropped by when the event occurred. Once two of the Van Komen brothers left to pick up some food, leaving just one and one other roommate inside, the stranger seized the opportunity to enter. The brothers were gone for no more than 10 minutes, and when they returned, they found Kyle passed away on the floor. Van Komen's mother, Renee Finch, said of the footage, "I think that it's creepy that they're out there watching." Adding later, "We're very thankful we didn't lose all three of our boys that night." Nelson's nephew, Ralph Nelson Jr., also said of his uncle that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, a feeling echoed by Finch, who doesn't know why her son might be targeted. There was no clear motive for the double life-taking, which is likely why the trail remains cold today, despite over 70 people being questioned over the past 3 years. Unsolved mysteries are inherently terrifying, and the coldness of this case compounds that fear. This grainy cell phone video comes from the SNDT Women's University in Mumbai, India. They are walking down a long hall filled with various classroom conversations when they see another student coming the opposite way. Well, I guess they didn't technically see them, since it was only a pair of shoes with nobody attached. Tell me, am I losing my mind? Or if this really is a ghost student going to class? A girl named Jessie and her friend decide to try and summon spirits at a playground at 3 in the morning. The video starts off very lighthearted as Jessie plays on the monkey bars and her friend makes jokes, but soon things get much more serious. They've just barely started when they hear a strange noise and whip around.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
They shine their flashlights on the playground tubes, but don't see anything. The two friends sit back down and start again. It isn't long before they've made contact.
Is there anyone here that would like to contact us? Are you doing that?
No, are you?
No.
The spirit identifies itself only as D and refuses to say its real name at first, but then says that it is the infamous demon, Mama. Then it says that there are 3 of them, all watching. Now strange noises are happening all around them.
So your name's not Mama?
Oh my god! Didn't you hear that?
No. Mama.
Apparently, their idea of summoning harmless children at a playground is turning out to be more serious than they thought. Mama starts to recite the alphabet backwards and then starts to count down the numbers, which Jessie's friend says is a way for the demon to get out of the board. Before they get a chance to move the pointer over goodbye, Sammy drops to the ground. This is what the camera records.
Oh, holy shut the up. Jesse just got possessed.
Are you kidding?
You were laughing like really weird and
Are you serious?
yeah.
Like, I don't even remember, like, playing the Ouija board.
She wakes up with no recollection of what happened. Hopefully, if this video is real, the demon left her alone after that, though we'll never know for sure. It could still be inside of her, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself again. Ricky Velasquez is the name of a YouTuber who goes to a small Mexican coastal town called Bejos de Mimoiha to investigate what they refer to only as an enigma. This area is where a woman once took the life of her son. He is led here by a respected village elder who stands before the wall and prays, hoping to get a communication. Meanwhile, Ricky walks around the perimeter and records what could be a woman's voice at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, perhaps the same woman who took the life of her own child. Ricky documents this spot with special tracking equipment for ghosts. I doubt you will ever see anything, but he knows what to look for, and so will you after I show you. Okay, check out this still frame at 25 minutes and 20 seconds. I'll point an arrow at the human-shaped figure and circle the demon-like shaped figure that's shrouded in shadows, red horns and all. This alone terrifies Ricky, but he doesn't want to interrupt his guide, so he quietly goes to where he saw it. He turns on a special bulb and detects movement where it was last standing. It's hard to tell if this movement was a shadow person or just his own hand, so you tell me. Either way, fear makes him ditch his guide and run into the dark woods, a decision that he instantly regrets. Crouched in the shadows is the shape of a boy and a coyote. Apparently they were watching from the shadows until he accidentally stumbles upon them. So ask Ricky and he'll tell you this legend is all too real. YouTube team Rota X Investigaso Paranormal explores this haunting place where something horrible happens. As they walk in, they sense there's someone there.
Eu acho que vi uma pessoa aqui, olha.
As he introduces himself, it sounds like someone runs off into the darkness.
Meu nome é Marco.
Aqui, Marco, na frente, aqui.
They get back to their investigation, addressing the spirits.
Tu viu? É o espírito que uma vez falou. Opa! Olha. Vamos fazer uma pergunta pra ele. Fala aí, né?
Boa noite. A presença que está aqui é da alguém que partiu, que estava aqui na tragédia?
In one dark and scary room, their device goes off.
Espírito maior.
Por isso a equipe Rota X pede licença para estar entrando aqui.
And a second time.
Tá, obrigado pela sua resposta, tá bom?
And then a third time.
Tá, alguém faleceu aqui, né? E você poderia me dizer...
While the readings are interesting, I'm more intrigued by the person they sensed in the building who seemed to escape. A security guard is patrolling the San Francisco College campus when he catches a glimpse of an all-black figure moving fast. He quickly rounds the corner and finds absolutely nothing there. Notice how the silhouette is traveling in a straight line at a high rate of speed and has no time to run up the steps or to hide on the right before the security guard catches up with it. I don't see any jump cut editing either, so I think this could really be an actual ghost. Connor Biddle and India Hopwood are a ghost hunting team who travels to different haunted locations in search of paranormal encounters, which coincidentally is the name of their channel on YouTube. Born in Indiana, Connor released a full-length paranormal documentary in 2012 and has never stopped investigating. His partner, India, moved to South Carolina from England and has been visiting haunted locations since she was 10 and began heading investigations as a teenager. They have nearly 2 decades of combined experience dealing with the afterlife between them and a lot of interesting evidence to share. This time they find themselves in Wytheville, Virginia to explore the infamous Octagon Mansion.
I am in the Octagon Mansion, alone. The only thing I can see is what's on this night vision camera.
Built in 1870, the Octagon Mansion, or the Roundhouse as some call it, has a relatively unexplained haunted history. Many families lived here over its 100+ year history, and it was also a few different businesses for a while, none of which lasted for some reason. The town itself once experienced a viral outbreak that took over 100 lives, and this may have tainted Wytheville with many restless spirits. With that said, it should come as no surprise that a little host girl is said to be on the second floor, especially considering the outbreak targeted kids. As Connor is exploring the first floor, his camera goes out of focus a second before he senses something nearby. There's nothing to make it go out of focus, and yet the background changes as if someone is standing right in front of him.
Is there anybody here?
And it stays blurry like this for 11 full seconds before snapping back into focus for no reason at all. And this noise happens a few seconds after coming into focus, almost like an invisible left the shot and went into a different room. The soft knocking is repeated again when he leaves a doll out for the girl to play with, and pay attention to the exact location of the doll because that's going to matter in just a second. But for now, it sounds like the girl might be coming downstairs to give the toy a closer look.
Oh my God.
So the doll is positioned in front of the furthest right window here at 2 minutes and 27 seconds, but at 4 minutes and 45 seconds, it's now by the far left window with its arms raised to its mouth like it's afraid. Now Connor says he isn't sure if the doll moved or if it was just the camera angle. I think it definitely moved, but the fact that he doesn't rush to take credit makes me respect his work that much more. On a different night, Connor and India think they record a spirit named Nina. Does this sound like a person or electronic interference? I respect that India is able to keep composure. My reaction was more like Connor's. She must have really seen a lot as a ghost hunter for this not to bother her. Anyway, this sounds like a scream of pure agony in my opinion. There's not any hatred in the voice, just pain. Perhaps a final scream from the girl upstairs. And if you didn't think the last sound was human, this one definitely is a woman's cry. India is able to translate quite easily. I believe it really does say hey here, like she says.
Hey, it's not hey again.
And the reason I believe it is because the ghost says hey again. As for physical sightings, this is the best piece of evidence Connor has to offer.
It's all real. Every bit of it.
This 2012 video, taken in Bourbon, Indiana, in the attic of an old pizza place that used to be an apartment building, highlights a strange anomaly hovering against the wall. It doesn't look like the beam of a flashlight because, aside from not being round, there's no ray of light connecting it to a source, and when the white outline moves off the wall, it does not change size or shape like a flashlight would, instead staying completely the same as it traverses the darkness. Strange noises have been happening in Peter's house since he moved in 2 weeks ago. Published in December of 2009, Peter Yan TV writes, "It happened again last night, and I was brave enough to capture this on tape." Loud clashing occurs as Peter turns on his camera in a dark hallway. He flicks on the light and looks downstairs. The sound stops. He loudly walks down the wooden stairs, likely to scare whoever or whatever is there. He finds nothing in the room downstairs, at least nothing that we can see. When he heads back upstairs, he flicks off the light and heads back into his room. He hears something slam downstairs, and then what sounds like slow footsteps up the stairs. He waits in fear, and they just keep coming, louder and louder. And then a shoe is thrown at him from out of the darkness. When he runs forward, there's nothing on the stairs or in the hallway. As many in the comments say, this dude should be leaving every light in the house on. Sometimes ghost hunters become the hunted, published by Yoon Sai-won in April of 2021. That's what happened to this Korean ghost hunter on one of his most recent investigations. Upon entering the haunted locale, he hears a strange noise.
안녕하세요.
It could be a dog barking in the distance, but who knows? Whatever it is, he has a bad feeling.
이 불길한 기운은?
And that feeling grows when the EMF meter reacts strongly, despite there being no electricity in the place. Using facial recognition software, faces also start to appear around the abandoned place. And they're getting closer by the second. Later, as the ghost hunter is using a spirit box, he hears a loud bump in the night. And then again as he continues his search. Is Yoon Sai-won being stalked? It may be best to call off this ghost hunt. A Canadian YouTube channel called The Soul Catcher suspects that this clown doll from Ontario feeds off the energy of the living. So they perform this experiment to see what paranormal activity they can catch on camera. Watch this and tell me if you think it's real or fake. The clown's arm moves by itself as soon as the clock strikes 3 a.m. I suppose it wouldn't be too hard to set a clock to 2:59, wait a minute, and then move the clown's arm with some fishing wire. So while this doesn't completely prove the doll is possessed, it's definitely strange. In this second experiment, the YouTuber removes the haunted clown doll's hat and places it on his knee. After 20 minutes, this happens. It looks like the clown is reaching for his hat, however his arms sound heavy enough that it could have been positioned in such a way to fall over time. The YouTuber wants to know why the other arm didn't fall, and to answer his question, I think it's been positioned so that the hand is more in the middle. So while these two experiments are not conclusive, that he may have had a haunted doll on his hands, and I encourage you to check out the rest of his experiments on his channel. Do you hear that haunting melody? It may be the vocalizations of an actual ghost. Posted by Charger3933 to the Ghosts subreddit. This clip captures a ghostly song in the abandoned asylum, Eloise Psychiatric Hospital in Michigan, which we've discussed at length in previous top 15s. Charger notes in the comments that he did not hear the singing during the visit, only afterwards when he listened back to the recording. The Redditor was wandering around the abandoned asylum with a friend when he heard disembodied footsteps coming up the stairs. As he tried to capture the footsteps via a Snapchat video, he heard screaming from a distance. He saved the video and later heard the haunting singing as well. Redditor Wubbeloved Dubbity Doo in the comments writes, obviously we have to take the audio with a grain of salt because it's possible someone was hidden in the building. That being said, I hear the screams and sleep freaky AF. The same Redditor later notes in the thread that the uploader basically caught an EVP. He also remarks that he too hears the footsteps or something moving nearby. The uploader states that he tried to stay as still as possible, and that he would also consider this an EVP, as he did not hear the singing in real time. Redditor quite fast agrees that the singing sounds like a lullaby. The Redditor tried to isolate the woman's voice, and added a clearer clip to the thread. The humming voice sounds even spookier with the audio cleared up, and is quite fast notes. You can almost hear the words safe and sound. Do you feel safe and sound after watching this video? Something is taking a hold of Michael in this haunted home. Published by D-Doc Michael, the first thing this paranormal explorer finds is this unsettling sickle. After resheathing it, he continues his exploration, only to soon be disturbed by strange noises. The noises continue, reminding him that he's not alone.
예, 감사합니다. 방금 뭐라고 하셨어요? 아이고 씨발.
He hears a rustling while he's outside.
계세요 혹시? 저기.
Inside, he hears something else. Then, while he's arranging some coffee cups, it seems as though he's been shocked. He asks the spirits to speak with him, but they don't answer. Although he does seem to hear something behind him, he follows it down a dark hallway into this room. Something seems to be happening to Michael, though it's unclear what. He returns to the same area to address the spirits, but it seems like the spirits don't want to talk. Instead, they get aggressive. What is taking hold of Michael? Whatever it is seems to want him to remain there forever. I think that's the cue to leave. A YouTuber named Miguel Alvarez is racing down the road at high speeds for a very good reason. He catches up to a red car and immediately gets the driver's attention.
Hey! It's on fire!
It's on fire!
The flames quickly crawl up the vehicle and soon reach the engine. What you see here is the end result just before firefighters arrived and contained the blaze. It looks bad, but things could have been way worse. The woman could have still been inside of this vehicle, if not for the heroic actions of Miguel Alvarez and his friends. A CCTV system in India shows a man walk past a little girl playing by herself. She reaches out here at the 5-second mark, but I'm not sure if she says anything to him or not. If she does, he doesn't seem to respond. He stops and it looks like he might be concerned for her well-being at first, but that's not the case. At the 45-second mark, he pauses to look directly at her, then over his shoulder to check inside the house nearby, presumably to see if any witnesses were near. He says something to her and brings a hand up to her like she is thinking something through, probably trying to judge if a statement is true. They start to walk away from her house, and he is pointing at something all the while, maybe at some imaginary promise around the corner, meant to get her to walk with him. Everything is going to plan until she suddenly rushes back. He gives her some distance but does not leave. Time passes and he silently disappears behind a tree. I don't know if he was hoping to pop out and grab her or what, but it's definitely more creepy behavior. He stands there for a full minute after the initial encounter until walking away. Maybe he made a note of this house and plans to return. Michael Manzo thinks there is something wrong with the snow. He grabs some from outside and attempts to melt it with a butane lighter. For some reason, it becomes blackened by the flame but otherwise remains in one solid piece.
No moisture. No dripping. Look at this.
Next, Michael takes more snow and holds it over an open stove.
No moisture. Look at this. No drippage.
Somehow, the snow fails to melt in the slightest despite being held over an intense heat source twice. This leads Michael Manzo to conclude that this is some sort of artificially modified substance, made to look like snow, presumably from weather experiments of some kind. Let me know what you make of this video, because I honestly have no idea how this could be possible. This Irish family was testing out their new baby monitor when they monitored something incredibly alarming, published by the Hidden Underbelly 2.0 in October of 2018. The footage shows Alan Smith watching the monitor in another room as his wife plays with the baby in its crib. When the man pans up to see his wife's face, however, he captures something unexpected. Over her shoulder in the connecting bathroom, a creepy face peers around the corner before vanishing completely. The man hurries upstairs, shouting at his wife that he saw something behind her.
Oh, you can. Oh, one sec. Let me check if I can get your face. Say hello, Lisa. What the f? Lisa! Who's behind you? Is there actually anyone behind you? Seriously?
There is, of course, no one in the bathroom. So to whom does this creepy face belong? Is this a cryptoid, a glitch, or just another scary video going viral on social media? YouTuber High Strangeness has a phantom coworker that he likes to antagonize. This time he went a little too far.
Man, these ghosts around here is weak. I can't wait, by the way. They got weak powers.
Calling a ghost weak seems to be a great offense, which the YouTuber will soon find out firsthand.
Weak. I'm out.
This ghost isn't weak and is not going to stand for the barbs. In my opinion, this guy had better watch his back from now on. While investigating a local legend known as the woman in the abandoned house, KBC Cazadores de Fantasmas spoke to the spirit of the woman's father. Using an infrared camera, they see a strange figure. It doesn't appear in the regular camera footage though. While communicating through a spirit box, it sounds like the spirit is saying someone's name. Later, he speaks another name.
Hilda. Já falou certinho. Hilda.
Então você conhece a Dona Hilda?
He then provides this cryptic message. It means this, here for her. The father then has a last message.
Tem diabo por tudo.
This translates to, there is a devil for everything. I'm not sure how to decipher these mysterious messages, but it does seem to me like this father should not be trusted. This truck was supposed to be a gift for Christmas, but it only seems to move by itself and refuses to take orders. Orbs fly by here at the 54-second mark as we shift our focus to the useless remote control, which sits discarded on the counter. A toy truck moving by itself is definitely weird, but what happens next seems like way too much of a coincidence to be completely random. I know that my audience is evenly split on the subject of orbs, with half believing they are paranormal and the other half certain they are just dust. I still haven't decided what the answer is for myself, but it's videos like this one, where an orb just so happens to fly over the object as soon as it's mentioned, that really makes me wonder what's going on here. Is my house haunted? Writes a user named BB5432 on the haunted subreddit. This paranormal video of their place was caught on a neighbor's doorbell cam across the street, who later showed it to her out of concern. It doesn't look like much at first, but there's actually a lot of creepy things going on in this video that you might not see. But first, let's start with the basics. The Reddit poster claims her house was completely dark when these mysterious, unexplained lights started flashing all around the door. The television in the living room was not on, she says, and even if it were on, it's facing the opposite way at an angle that would not create this effect at all. Whether or not to believe her is up to you. I do, because the flashing seems too bright for a television and takes up the whole window at times. Nobody would watch a television screen that bright because it would undoubtedly hurt to look at for that long. And at 25 seconds, the creepy light grows even brighter and does not subside until the video ends. BB5432 later posted, she has no further reason to think their house is haunted, but still struggles to explain what this was if not a ghost. She adds the same thing happened to her years ago. The same neighbor showing her and her husband lights in their door, and nobody could figure it out then either. Someone said they should check the electrical wiring in that room, which I agree is a good move. But other than that, everyone else says this is super weird, and even she has to admit she's creeped out. There's also one more weird thing that I wasn't even going to mention, except she saw it too. A shadow figure in the doorway. You can see it whenever the lights go down, but it's probably most apparent at 4 seconds. I took a still image and zoomed in. Here it is with no special effects whatsoever. The outline of a shadow figure looking out the window. Tell me if you can see it too. I'd say that house is haunted, if that's not a resident. Is this the floating soul of a departed one? Published by Frankly2112 in October of 2008, a ghost hunting crew encountered a strange floating orb while wandering through a cemetery at night. The light glows brightly at the center of what appears to be a semi-transparent figure. Then again, the apparent figure could just be the extension of the light's rays. As the cameraman pans away and back again, the beam moves quickly out of frame and out of sight. YouTuber Price Paranormal writes, "It almost seems elemental or interdimensional." Others note that the light seems to materialize there and that it appears like someone holding fire in their hand. What do you think this is? Are the spirits alive in this graveyard? I'd be staying far away from this place. Is this really the mummified remains of an extraterrestrial? YouTube channel Paranormal Planet thinks it is. The creature certainly looks unique with its small skull and long neck. I can see why they'd think it's an extraterrestrial. I'm wondering if the mysterious arrangement surrounding the extraterrestrial was part of the blast. I'm also curious if the extraterrestrial is attached to it in some way. Will some in the comments think it's clay, a dinosaur, or a severely dehydrated turkey? I think there's a good chance that this truly could be extraterrestrial. It's 3 a.m. when three friends decide to walk down this haunted road. At 3 minutes and 13 seconds, they turn their headlights on and off, which I think they are supposed to do to make something scary happen. Then he begins rolling around like a possessed man.
लाइट बंद कर फटे ना भाई लाइट बंद कर
He has a lot to say when he snaps out of his apparent possession, and I would like to understand, in his words, what he just went through. If you speak the language, please tell me what is being said here, and if you think it's real or fake.
अरे क्या हुआ अविनाश भाई मुझे लग रहा था कोई खींच रहा है भाई कसम से काम कर अरे भाई मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा भाई मेरे को कहां लेके गए आप लोग यार
I don't see any tears, but he looks really stressed out. So overall, I'm not sure what to make of this bizarre event. While spending the night in an abandoned boarding house, the unthinkable happened. Published by Toppy in May of 2022, this paranormal crew captured whispers on camera, asking for help. These whispers are quite faint, but they think it sounds like a woman's voice. Shortly after, they hear footsteps at a distance. In a hallway of the boarding house, the team sets up a stationary camera. Apart from several EVPs, it captures this. A rock is kicked with great force down the length of the hall. Do former pupils still call this boarding house home? And what do they want with the living? While house sitting for his aunt, Reddit user Notel4117 saw something on a nanny cam that freaked him out. First, he shows us the room in question.
So this is my aunt's son's room. Right? There's no one in here. Right? Nothing.
Then he shows us what he saw.
Right on the monitor here. Tell me that doesn't look like someone standing in the room. Like,
does it look like something standing in the room to you?
Like I've checked, like went back and forth 3 times, and
He even does a side-by-side to try and make sense of it.
So, okay. Nothing, right? Like what the f***?
He then sets up the monitor, grabs a ball from another room, and throws it in there to see if anything changes on the monitor.
Okay, alright. There is definitely something in there.
The mysterious figure is still there. Many in the comments think the T-Rex and other items in the room may be casting shapes that create the shadow figure's form. Like others in the thread, I'm thinking it's probably a shitty nanny cam that doesn't capture shadows in their subtleties. So many objects in the room are coming together to make what looks like a figure. After all, the camera did make the T-Rex look like a terrifying baby. As a parent, often you must keep your fear inside for the sake of your children. If you want to know how, take a master class from this dad, posted by Matt to World in February of 2016. The uploader writes in Spanish, a video that I took of a paranormal phenomenon that occurs in a neighborhood of Greater Buenos Aires. The video appears to show a father and son watching TV. The father apparently feels the urge to go check on something in the room next door. When he first looks in, apart from a strange sheet appearing to cover something in the middle of the floor, nothing seems abnormal. It also looks like two figures are asleep in opposite beds. He returns to his son, checks the bathroom and the kitchen, and swings back to the room where the light fixture is still swinging around. Then the sheet suddenly collapses. Apparently it was covering nothing. A nearby broom falls to the ground, and then someone in the bed moves. Somehow the father remains incredibly calm, as if this is an everyday occurrence, and from the sounds of it, it might be. In the comments, Matthew World suggests the man's calm reaction to the ghost was in order to not scare his son. Matt claims this is just one of the frightening anomalies that occurred to the family in this home. He also says they ended up moving, as they'd suffered enough. After seeing this single event, I don't think I'd stay in that house a moment longer. Are you heading out to a seaside restaurant tonight? You might want to reconsider. Published to YouTube by Ed Haddon, March of 2014. They wrote, Jill Freeland, the artist and videographer, was having breakfast this morning at Moby Dick's with her family and got a little more sea salt than was on the menu. The footage shows the restaurant overlooking a stormy gray sea. While the customers await their meal, they helplessly watch as the waves take on a life of their own. They probably think they're safe inside, but boy are they wrong.
Time to go.
The water crashes against the window and glass shatters as the spectators scream. Someone calmly says, "Time to go," and the customers are told to leave the restaurant, which they do without argument. It appears that no one was hurt in the incident, but they certainly saw firsthand how indifferent Mother Nature is to brunch. Damon and Sean are walking around outside when they come across a huge open sewer pipe in the middle of nowhere. They don't think much of it until something weird starts to happen.
I think there's like somebody down there. What the dude, it's creeping me out.
Sean goes to the other side of the pipe to see if he can determine the source of the banging. Soon, he comes back and says that he couldn't see anything on the other end.
Yeah, but usually there's like two at a time. See, did you hear that?
If there is any technical reason for a sewer pipe to be banging in sets of two like that, then I'd like for someone to please explain. Otherwise, there's no way to tell who or what was making all that racket down there. Is this unidentified flying object real or fake? YouTuber YB Normal shares this video of a daytime sighting in an unknown location. This man spotted the unidentified flying object on the tree line and got his camera out to capture it. It disappears for a while behind some trees before making a resurgence.
I mean, just look at those movements. It just doesn't look like a conventional craft to me. This is crazy.
It wobbles from one side to the other. A closer slow motion view captures this movement more precisely. A couple of things gives this away as CGI for me. The absolutely motionless Steadicam, when at the beginning the cameraman sounds out of breath from having rushed out to retrieve his camera, so he would assumingly be holding it by hand.
Okay.
And a second issue is the sound of a breeze while the trees are completely stationary.
This, I don't know what it is. I thought it was a plane at first, or maybe a helicopter. I've been watching this thing hover.
Still, a good effort overall. What do you think is going on here? One door shuts, another opens. YouTuber Just Paranormal published this video in March of 2018. One of the dudes in the video says this paranormal footage was filmed in his home. This shot was directed at him in the darkness, and over his shoulder behind him, a door slowly swings closed on its own. They were renovating the bathroom, which is where the door closed. The man explains that the house was once owned by his mother-in-law, although they don't know whether or not anyone passed away in the home. His sister-in-law dabbled in witchcraft in high school, and as the boys note, you never know what you're getting yourself into with that stuff, and this may have contributed to the strange happenings occurring within the home. At the time, he's been documenting all the events occurring in his home, and when he heard footsteps, he started filming. This is why he was able to capture the door closing on video. He then runs over to the door, opening it to find no one there. There's no fishing line on the doorknob. To cover all the bases, he explores his home the next day to see if air vents could explain the door closing. Nothing natural seems to explain this event. Could it be supernatural? What do you think? A YouTube channel called Exploring with Fighters travels to the same tunnel system as Dark Arts TV. He is explaining his nervous anticipation when a loud scrape occurs directly over his shoulder. No one is near him. You can tell by everyone's distant chatter that they are pretty far away. Listen for yourself and tell me if you agree no one else was nearby. At least no one alive.
This video is going to be far.
They all get a really bad feeling upon discovering what could be fragments of human. Look at this part and tell me if he is tossing a part of someone's jaw or just a random piece of debris. I was wondering if these could belong to an animal, but then they discover a large collection of combs left over top. Like this one, for example. So I think we may have sadly found our answer. They are ready to leave before they come across any other horrible discoveries, but something follows them. This extremely creepy low laugh follows them on their way out, while the rest of the audio remains the same. In fact, what's especially scary is how one of these girls lets out a small chuckle shortly before this noise comes out.
People like pull the fire game.
Alright, so right now, our homie scared of spiders. We're trying to...
Almost as if it's laughing in response. Listen for yourself and tell me if you think this is edited or not. When you visit an abandoned hospital, you don't expect this to happen. Redditor Bored Guy Online posted this scary video evidence that he captured in the ICU. Keep an eye at the end of the hall to the right. Something mysterious is going on here. Being that all hospitals are likely haunted, maybe these doors aren't malfunctioning after all. If that's the case though, who is opening and closing this ICU door? He can see us, but we can't see him. I think it's time to leave this abandoned hospital and stay far away. You wouldn't want anything following you home now. A scary video recovered from WhatsApp begins with an evil laugh and ends with a scream. I'm not sure what they've caught on camera. Some kind of twisted half-torso with a demented laugh, it would seem. The strange form leaves the terrified man screaming, and as he runs, A chair moves out on his own with no one under the table, and no jump cuts or other editing tricks that I can make out. A man claims that he keeps experiencing paranormal activity in his dining room and nowhere else. He feels unsafe and decides to leave a camera running in the dining room to see what goes on when he's not around. Nothing happens for a while, but then something comes along in the window that looks questionable. This is the zoomed in version. A tiny face appears to peek out at them from the glass panel on the bottom right before darting out of sight. You can't really make out any of its features, but notice how some orbs float by shortly before this happens. It's hard to tell if it's a paranormal creature or just a small animal, but I wouldn't want to be left alone in the house to find out. There's nothing creepier than when your food moves on its own. Posted to TikTok by Jake M. Tapat, a woman is seen placing several small bowls out on a table for dinner. She notices one of the bowls twisting and sliding around on its own. She picks it up and wipes the bottom, thinking it might be that the bowl is wet. Placing it back, it still seems to twist for a moment. Is this just moisture at play? Or do we have a hungry ghost on our hands? Some people are afraid of nuns to some extent, so imagine how a nun spirit might terrify someone like that. The Ouija brothers entered the UK's most haunted nunnery in this scary video. Early in their investigation, they hear this spooky sound.
I'm just walking, I'm just having a look if there's anyone there. There's a humming.
The humming happens again shortly after.
Hold on, the humming just happened again.
Later, they hear something rustling very near them.
It sounded like someone, you see there's like debris there on the floor. I don't know if it was like debris falling on the floor, but it was like movement. I don't know if something like that.
Was that just some of the debris from the wall falling off? Or is someone invisible standing in this corner? Considering how spooky this place feels, I personally think a ghost nun is there. Say your prayers. An abandoned school that served as a German headquarters a long time ago. A ghostly female apparition spotted in the window. This dilapidated site is ripe for exploration. Originally published by Dark Ghost Paranormal, this scary video follows Dennis as he takes on the challenge. Using a spirit box, Dennis tries to find out what is going on here. The spirit box immediately informs him that a spirit is here. She says that he doesn't know her. After asking if she burnt the place down, she answers in the affirmative.
Это ты сожгла это помещение?
Да.
She also says, they did it to me, they burned me.
Они это сделали со мной.
And Dennis is told they're in the basement, whoever they are. Dennis heads inside to have a look. After asking for a sign of the spirit's presence, he is given one.
Надо где-то еще искать.
Down in the basement, he finds something like a bunker. While speaking with the spirits, a box makes a noise in the corner. His lights go out, and he hears mysterious knocks in the room. He tries the door at the end of the room, but it seems shut tight. When he asks the spirits through the spirit box what they want from him, they have a simple answer.
Что тебе нужно от меня? Скажи, что тебе нужно от меня?
After the spirits warn him to leave, and the lights go out again, suddenly he looks up to find the door open. He gathers his stuff and gets out of there in the nick of time. Another camera on the outside of the room captures the door opening on its own. Is this the spirit of whoever set fire to the lady in the window? Or is it the lady herself? A candelabra is something straight out of a haunted castle, so it's no wonder this one is showcasing some really creepy paranormal activity. YouTuber Mr. Devilish looks on as the light fixture starts to dance.
Okay, that's kind of weird. This thing is moving. There's no fan on or anything. This thing's moving. Holy.
When he gets closer, the fixture becomes even more active.
Holy. This is like an old church. Pretty crazy.
And that's not all.
Oh. That's up. Something going on in here. Okay.
If this was just the light fixture by itself, I think it could be explained. A rodent or animal of some kind could be mucking around in the ceiling, but combined with the curtain closing, I think it's more likely to be paranormal. YouTuber Extinct File encounters the ghost of the Poco Aunties in this creepy video. As the team explores the abandoned place, they spot the ghost in a doorway.
Donde dormían. No mames. No inventes, güey. No mames. Cámara 2, güey. Hola.
A little further along, they capture an unexplained sound.
No puede ser, güey. La madre.
And then another. They believe the spirit here was pregnant.
En el estómago. Quizá estaba embarazada, güey. Estabas embarazada.
They then hear wailing in the distance. It continues for minutes. After a while, the crying stops, but then starts up again. And then this happens.
No mames, güey. No mames, cámara 2. Güey, ¿qué pedo? No mames.
When they enter the enclosure, the figure is gone. Where did she go? I'm convinced they truly encountered the ghost of the Poco Aunties, and if they did, they'd better hope these spirits didn't attach themselves. Sometimes, if you want to know if a room is haunted or not, all you have to do is ask.
Move it. Holy sh**.
It's creepy, but I'm not sure this object really moved on its own. It sounds like a fan is blowing from side to side and could have moved the object instead of a ghost. Tell me if you hear it.
Holy sh**.
He might have put the bottle at just the right distance to make it seemingly move upon his command. Is this moment paranormal to you? I'm on the fence with this one. Donnie regularly sees what he thinks is a shadow person in his home. It's always in the basement, always coming from the corner of his eye, and always going way too fast to be a normal person. He can feel its anger downstairs, and he knows that it wants to do him harm. Donnie decides to put music on blast to see what kind of reaction he can get on camera. After 20 minutes, this shadow can take no more and races upstairs, causing these lights to move. Soon the same angry feeling returns, and Donnie knows that it's back. He starts recording down a dark hall, and these bottles move on their own.
You're not welcome here.
You and I both heard them fall, but no one else is around to knock them over. At least nobody that I could see. And just around the corner are the stairs leading down to the dark, cold basement. This dashcam footage was taken on a busy road somewhere in India. Nothing looks out of the ordinary until a tiny object performs a bizarre aerial maneuver while hovering above the road. The saucer-shaped object appears to somehow stop and change directions mid-flight. Somehow, none of the oncoming motorists in the other lane seem to notice, which I think is odd, but maybe it all happened too fast for them to see. If not, then I think this dashcam video might be a fake, but I'm curious to hear your opinion. This footage was taken in 2011. A man is wandering the woods in Pennsylvania when his flashlight chances upon one of the most popular humanoids of all time. The Sasquatch is devoid of pigment and doesn't put up much of a fight, instead taking off as soon as the flashlight beam hits its face. Notice not only how fast it runs, but also how silently it moves. Somehow it was able to watch the cameraman from less than 10 feet away and get away with hardly any noise. This ghost video from a bus station in Sydney, Australia has everyone convinced it's real, even the camera equipment itself. A shadowy mist floats across the upper right monitor, and soon motion tracking equipment puts a bright orange box around it to confirm. It eventually floats off the monitor, at which point it should show up on the other monitor to the left, but nothing appears.
Look at that.
The motion sensor tries to track it for a bit longer and then gives up. It has simply vanished. A paranormal investigator in South Korea called D-Doc Mikol stands in the entrance of an abandoned apartment building with a haunted reputation that few dare to document. He means no disrespect to the spirits inside and is simply recording paranormal evidence out of scientific curiosity. Nonetheless, he only gets a few steps inside before he sees an object is moving by itself.
누구세요? 누구세요?
A ghost pushing over a box is creepy, but not scary enough to stop an experienced ghost investigator like him. He keeps exploring the building, and thus the objects keep moving.
잠깐만.
Instead of running away in fear like most, he is bravely willing to examine an object after a ghost moves it. I don't see any strings tied around this stool, but I guess someone could have pulled it away by hand. Just when he is about to leave the room, the poltergeist refuses to be ignored.
뭔 소리야?
A shelf tips over by itself. I thought somebody could have been hiding on the other side of the door, but look what happens when he checks the room.
이거 여러분들 잡기는 아닙니다. 이거 잡기는
A second full-size shelf somehow falls out from within the small space behind the door, which is not big enough for a person to fit behind. And when he checks behind the door, at 6 minutes and 4 seconds, you can just barely see a shadow figure caught on camera. Down a different hallway, the ghost hunter sees one of the doors leading into a dark apartment is open. He knows a paranormal entity is near, and when he investigates a little further, this scary moment happens. One thing I especially like about D-Doc is that no matter how scared he becomes, he always makes it a point never to back down. He looks behind the door and into the empty apartment. and finds nothing there. I see no strings attached to the sandals, especially during this close-up taken at 8 minutes and 59 seconds. Then again, this could be fake because the sandals take tiny steps and never actually leave the ground, which is not how a person walks when you think about it. Anyway, he finds slippers in front of another open door and experiences the same scary events. This time, he actually stepped foot inside the apartment and verified that it's completely empty. When he picks up the slippers, you can clearly see there are no strings attached, so at this point I'm creeped out. Finally, while setting up an experiment to detect paranormal activity inside of this apartment, a mysterious figure briefly appears in the hallway. Was it a ghost caught on camera, or was it a prop? If you're going to rent a historic home, don't expect to get any sleep. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Securius Cymbalum was staying at a 500-year-old cottage when something odd happened. The light shade moved outward on its own. This prompted the Redditor's dog to freak out. He's seen in the video staring at something and whining for several minutes. What is this dog seeing that's invisible to the human eye? Many in the comments describe similar experiences with their dogs. Some look in a certain corner of the room, others in the hallway, and they don't budge. Others say many of their ghost encounters were with their dog. So what is it about the spirit world and animal senses? What are they seeing that we don't? I think it may forever remain a mystery. A small kayak is completely dwarfed by an enormous shark that's not too far away. The shark begins to turn towards the kayaker and make a pass at them, though it's unclear whether the shark was hungry or just curiously investigating its surroundings. Either way, the uploader of this video estimates the shark to be over 40 feet long based on the average size of a kayak. Sometimes being deep underwater can make objects look much bigger than they really are. However, here you can see that the shark is close enough to the surface for its fin to break the water, so its size is not being exaggerated at all. From what I understand, sharks don't usually come to the surface unless they see something of interest, so maybe it really was going to eat the kayaker. I'm not sure about the geographic location of this video, but it appears to have been taken from some sort of helicopter, perhaps one belonging to the National Coast Guard of whichever country is claiming these waters as its territory. Unfortunately, the video ends before we get to see the kayaker's fate. Of course, this uploader could just be skilled at video editing. Let me know what you make of this one. Man running an illegal Frankenstein's monster operation in his basement? Shared by YouTube channel The Darkest Secret and originally published by Life of Luxury. This creepy video is giving me nightmares. Parker and Chester first receive a letter from a subscriber named Kayla about an unusual happening in her home. I'll let Parker explain more.
We received a report from a 19-year-old girl named Kayla. Kayla lives with her dad, and she says that he works in the basement of their house. She also says weird things have been happening in her house at night, like screaming and scratching noises coming from the basement.
This is the video she sent in as proof. Kayla hasn't been in the basement since this incident, and her dad has since locked the basement door, but he's currently traveling, so Life of Luxury has come to investigate in his absence. As per usual, they set up cameras around Kayla's home. Let's see what happens. Crawling up from the basement, this thing appears on the landing at around 2 a.m. As Kayla continues to sleep, the creature makes this demonic noise. It makes its way toward Kayla's bedroom. And lets itself in. It appears on the verge of lashing out at Kayla. Finally, the guys realize something is happening.
Yo, wake up. One of the cameras is on the ground.
Probably just fell.
But how would it get on the ground?
I don't know, dude.
Check the other one. Check the other ones.
Dude, what is he doing?
What's coming out of her mouth?
We gotta go in, bro. Let's go. Let's go inside, okay? Let's go. Let's go.
The creature looks like it's sucking Kayla's soul out through her mouth. Is this a Dementor? The guys race into Kayla's room and carry her out of there. After getting Kayla to safety, the guys say they contacted the police about her father. But what did they tell them? To me, it looks like Kayla's dad was trying to piece together a creature from multiple humans, something like Victor Frankenstein or Human Centipede. For what purpose, though, we can only guess, but it looks like his experiment was unfortunately a success. Well, kinda. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.